Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry. So there's a bit of an elephant in the room here. It's been nearly 2 years. I'm not going to spend too long on that. Um, that might be cap. But check the chapters on the timestamp, and you can just skip right to the start of the episode. So in the last episode, things started to get real. We ran into Oishi while talking with Shion at the library, and it's become pretty clear that quite literally everyone knows that we were in the storehouse. And two of the people that were there, that would be Takano and Toмотake, are dead. And so the main concern right now is that Shion and Keiichi are going to be demoned away, right? Two victims requires two sacrifices, is the thought process. We don't know for sure if that's how it's going to go, but at the very least, Shion was worried about that and called us about it. And upon confronting this possibility, Keiichi did not stay rational. He kind of freaked out and started blaming it on other people, and clearly, Shion was not very pleased with this and just hung up the phone on him. So Keiichi's kind of in this spot where he's got like no real allies, actually. Oishi's not purely on his side anymore. Shion, we don't know, right? Like, we might have just scared her off, right? Toмотake and Takano are dead, right? The best we've got right now is Rena, and based on chapter 1, I don't know if I want Rena to be our best ally, you know? So there's a lot of interesting stuff. So we're going to talk about some other stuff. If you don't care about any of that, anything about the absence or whatever, how it affects this video, again, just check the chapters, and you can skip right to when I actually start the game. So I guess let's talk. I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about like the break itself. There's not a ton to say about that I didn't really say in the update video like a year ago. Well, that kind of remained true for a year, and finally, just recently, it was the most random thing. I was just at a hobby store, and I found a Fate figurine, of all things. And I was like, dang, I kind of need to play Fate again at some point. And then it made me think, dang, I gotta play Higu first, though. Right? Not because I have to, because I want to. Right? And so I started rewatching my Higurashi series. If that wasn't obvious, right, from the fact that I remember what happened in the last episode. I rewatched the full series in the past week or so. And I think at this point I'll finally reach the point where I'm not playing, like, trying to get myself to play Higurashi just for the sake of recording it. I'm playing Higurashi because I want to play Higurashi, right? Like, I genuinely am like, dude, literally what happens in this story? Right? Where is this going to go? And I think that's a much better way to approach this. So I'm hoping that this is not going to be a one episode recorded and I never touch it again type thing. I'm not going to make any promises one way or the other, honestly. We're just going to see how things roll right now. But I am back for now, at the very least. I have context as to what is happening in Higurashi. So this video shouldn't be completely like I have no clue what is happening type deal, right? And to be honest, I think that's more or less all I have to say. That didn't take quite as long as I thought. So honestly, just go ahead and jump into this. I'm here to play the game. I did have to reinstall the 07th mod, so if anything looks wrong with the game or is broken, let me know. I think everything should work. I had to go through and redo all of my saves anyways, and it seemed functional and it seemed pretty much the same, but in case I'm missing anything, I guess just go ahead and let me know. I can't believe I'm actually about to hit continue again. Alright, let's do this. There was no way I'd be able to sleep. Would she hang up the phone like that? I realized for the first time what kind of situation I was in, as well as who the only ally who would support me was. Yeah, and you just kind of fumbled. I waited with bated breath for Shion to calm down and call me back. What would I do if their phone rang while I was sound asleep? No matter how long I waited, however, it never rang. Exhausted, whenever my mind started to wander, I would jolt awake as though I heard the phone ring. In the end, I brought the cordless phone with me into my futon and went to sleep with it in my arms, though it still didn't amount to anything. Morning came, and by that time, I was pretty sure she wasn't calling back. It was when a fierce drowsiness assailed me. That's already a bad start. We're going straight into sleep deprivation again. I slapped myself in the face a few times. Yeah, that's really not gonna wake you up long term, but whatever. Then I went to the washroom and washed my face, which was something I usually didn't do. That wasn't enough either, so I even brushed my teeth. You say even brushed your teeth, like that's a thing you shouldn't be doing daily, bro. After that, I was finally wide awake. When Mom saw how strange I was acting, her eyes went wide.
どうしたの、ケイチ？今日はどこかにお出かけでもするの？
学校に。
Is it like... Jeez. Game really does flashbang you. I forgot about that.
ケイチくん、なんだか今日も調子悪そう。
He's been better.
やっぱり風邪かな？
風邪じゃなくて寝不足なんだ。寝ぼけてわけのわかんないことを言い出したら、フォローよろしくな。
ケイチくん、寝ぼけたらどんなこと喋り出すのかな？ちょっと楽しみかも。
I felt utterly shattered, and I still hadn't picked myself back up this morning. And for precisely that reason, Rena's honest smile was a sight for sore eyes.
よ、ケイちゃんにレナ。おはよう。
あれれ？みーちゃんもなんだか寝不足な感じだよ。
Mion had gone home early yesterday with a hangover, but she didn't look too good this morning either. Her usual cheerfulness was completely buried in shadow. Oh, right, Kimiyoshi, the mayor of the town, went missing, and she had to help conduct a search last night for him. So, I guess, yeah, that completely checks out, that she would also be sleep deprived.
寝たの3時ぐらいだからね。眠い。
3時？昨日に続いてか？おいおい、夜更かしにも限度ってもんがあるぞ。大方漫画の単行本が面白くなっちゃって一巻から読破してしまったんだろ。俺にも経験があるぞ。
I joked, trying to shake off my sleepiness. I was trying to be considerate. However, neither Mio nor Rena smiled. In fact, they didn't even pay attention. Rena's expression immediately darkened.
あれ？ひょっとして村長さんのこと？まだ見つかってないの？
おい、ちょっと待ってくれ。村長さんが見つかってないって何の話だ？
Even the classroom, which was normally bursting with bright, joking voices, seemed filled with a different sort of murmur today.
おはようございます、ケイチさん。聞きました？なんだか大変なことになりましたわね。
俺はその村長さんって人をよく知らないんだが、ボケて徘徊してるだけじゃないのか？
Well, I mean, that's also pretty bad.
村長さんはボケてなんかいませんですわ。お習字も教えるし、剣道も教える、はつらつな方でございますの。
Swordsmanship.
僕と同じで、きっとどこかで迷子なのですよ。迷子いいね。はう、お持ち帰り。
Actually a classic. Getting lost is only cute because children like Rika-chan can do it. Not can do it. Anyone can get lost. A worn-out old man getting lost isn't moe in the slightest. When my mind entertained dumb thoughts like that, our teacher arrived. Everyone rushed to their seats.
皆さん、おはようございます。
Good morning. The class greeting was normal, but the atmosphere in the room was heavy.
すでに聞いている方もいるかもしれませんが、昨日の夜、村長さんが夜遅くになってもお家に帰ってこなかったのだそうです。皆さんの中で昨日村長さんを見た人はいますか？
One or two hands went up in the silence, and they told her about having seen him. None of it seemed to be vital information, however, and everyone began whispering amongst themselves.
もしも村長さんを見かけた人は大人の人に教えてあげてくださいね。それでは授業を始めます。
After that, the same old lessons began. Ooh, dang, we're just going... What? Oh, we're going, okay, to lunchtime. I was gonna say, I thought they were just going straight through the whole day for a second. I was like, jeez. The rumors, once quieted, blossomed in flowers again at lunchtime. I could hear a few different conversations. They were mostly related to the mayor's disappearance. Summing them all up, I came out with this. Yesterday evening, the mayor went to a meeting at the Shrine's Assembly Hall. The meeting ended after the sun had fully set and everyone left. The elder's house was a bit far from the center of Hinamizawa. It was already late, and Hinamizawa doesn't have a lot of lights outside. Nobody saw the mayor after the meeting. However, because he would have been hungry, he wouldn't have taken any side trips. He would have gone straight home. However, no matter how long his family waited, he never returned. Some thought there might have been an accident. They left no stone unturned. They searched from the irrigation channels to the water wells, and even in the rice paddies, but they didn't find him. Of course, there's a limit to how far they could search in the middle of the night. The police were going to wait for daylight, then have the young men of the town help search. If after all that they still didn't find him, they were apparently even going to go looking in the mountains. Those same mountains where they found Takano, perhaps? I think that was in the mountains. Right, I know it was a different prefecture, but for some reason I really thought they said it was in the mountains. Even now, at this moment, the adults were probably all searching for him. The more they searched in vain, and the more time passed, the only thing that came to mind was the curse. The rumors of Onikakashi, of the demoning away. Had he become this year's sacrifice to Oyashiro-sama's curse, which had recently been occurring every year? Okay. That scary possibility, which everybody thought about but nobody could say aloud, was slowly but surely spreading throughout the village. Was he demoned away, and offered as a sacrifice to quell Oyashiro-sama's anger? My classmates were whispering to each other that the curse didn't happen this year, so there shouldn't have been any sacrifices. Wrong. I, on the other hand, I knew. The curse did happen again this year, and there were 2 people that died. This may sound strange, but I hadn't exactly thought the elder would be the one to go missing. My reason was clear. Shion and I should have been a higher priority than him. The 4 of us were thieves that broke the taboo and set foot into the sacred ritual storehouse. Dang, I can't read today. If Tomatake-san and Takano-san had suffered mysterious deaths, then it should have been my and Shion's turn next.
今度こそ俺かシオンの番なのにな。
I laughed painfully to myself. I'd yelled at Shion over the phone that I didn't want to end up in such a terrifying situation, but now that someone other than me had disappeared, I can only think that I should have been the first to go. Onigafuchi, the bottomless swamp, said to have been the place where they drowned sacrifices long ago. Just as it ran through my thoughts, the villagers must have also considered the swamp. Maybe police divers were plumbing its depths even now. They probably wouldn't find anyone. Not a single missing person had ever been found. They'd always suspected Onigafuchi, but not once have they ever turned up a corpse from it. After all, it was a devilish, bottomless swamp from which no one who sinks can ever return. I could hear someone telling their friend that in the classroom.
そういえば、サトシさんがいなくなったのも去年の今頃だったね。
That is correct. Huh? Satoshi. I've heard that name before. He was... right. He disappeared because of last year's curse. Something I just want to say. I have finally drilled it into my head that Satoshi is not Satoko's cousin. That is her brother. Maybe was is the better word there. I don't know. It's not like a body's ever been found. It could be alive. The conversation was happening in the seat next to me, so I could hear it clearly.
サトシさんの時も確かこんな風に村中で探したんじゃなかったっけ？あれも見つからなかったんだよね。あれって結局どうなったんだっけ？確か鬼隠しじゃなかったんだよね。うん。貯金を全部下ろして家出しちゃったんだって聞いたよ。
Withdrew all the savings too? I'm gonna be honest. That is kind of strange. I guess it's not that strange. When you think about everything leading up to, like, with Satoshi, right? If it all really does parallel Keiichi, like Chapter 1 suggests, right? Then he probably did feel some kind of paranoia. So it wouldn't be completely surprising if he thought to withdraw all of his savings. Running away from home is obviously just, some conjured explanation.
警察の人が名古屋駅で新幹線に乗るところを見た人がいるとか言ってたもん。
Yeah, no, that's not true. Ran away, huh? I wasn't that interested in the reason, which seemed understandable in this case. Everyone else who disappeared had their own reasons too. Either they were still on the run because they were criminals, or they were a corpse that couldn't be found. It's not like any of them suddenly disappeared into thin air for no reason. But they disappeared. Someone disappeared whenever the curse took a life, as if by design. They may have had various understandable reasons, but they still disappeared. From that point of view, it really might have been a demoning away this time. The mayor's disappearance was the first such incident without a clear reason behind it. Of course, coming to that realization didn't help to resolve anything.
今日は味の加減を間違えちゃったみたいだね。ごめん。
Normally, Rena's lunch would have been devoured immediately, but today there was still a ton left. That wasn't because Rena's lunch didn't taste good or anything, though. I think people just don't have an appetite
そんな
today.
ことありませんのよ。レナさんのお弁当は今日もとっても美味でしたよ。
Satoko dips her chopsticks into Rena's bento box and pulls bits of food out one after the other.
おいしいおいしい。今日も格別でしたよ。あれ、それかぼちゃのコロッケだよ。
Does she not like pumpkin or
大丈
something?
夫？レナさんのかぼちゃならとっても美味しいですわ。
Satoko, that was kind of clutch. I respect that. Did Satoko dislike pumpkin? Regardless, she forced herself to smile and shoved more into her mouth. Dang, she's kind of going in right now. Really trying to, I guess, keep Rena from feeling bad. Everyone knew. Nobody's lunch tasted very good today. Satoko kept shoveling it down, repeating her remark on how good it was.
そんなにうまいなら俺もいただかないとな。このままじゃ全部サトコに食われちまう。
Yeah, try to at least feign, like, that everything is normal.
あんまりにも美味しいので、ぜひケイイチさんにも召し上がってほしいですわね。
She said, please help me.
たまには俺も年上らしい寛大さを見せないとな。よし、遠慮するな。今日は俺の分まで食ってよし。
うわー。
She really, really hated pumpkin, didn't she? That made it all the more touching to see Satoko's own brand of generosity. Exactly, right? It kind of does. I grabbed her head and started stroking it. Satoko, in a somewhat exaggerated fashion, was bawling, tears streaming down her face.
嘘だよ。そんなにうまいものを譲るほど大人にはなれないよ。レナも食え。俺のは夕べのおでんの残り物だが、おでんは一晩経ってからがうまいんだぜ。
お大根が綺麗な色に透き通ってて美味しそう。じゃあ、いただこうかな。
Rena reached out with her chopsticks, and, at last, the usual lunchtime atmosphere began to return. That's good. I was only at our desks, however. Yeah, that makes sense. The dark tales of Yashiro-sama's curse, which had recurred for 5 years in a row, didn't cease. The whole classroom remained stuck in this somber mood. Yashiro-sama's curse had happened for 5 years straight. Everyone had wanted the previous year to be the last. What was Yashiro-sama's curse, anyway? They were going to build a dam in Hinamizawa. The people building it were bad, so they were cursed. I would admit that much. Still, the dam project was frozen years ago, wasn't it? So why was the curse stubbornly persisting? I hit myself on the cheeks to perk myself back up. Everyone was trying so hard to brighten the mood. I couldn't go straight back to thinking about the curse like that. Forced the grim story out of my head. Driving Oyashiro-sama's curse out of my thoughts was actually a good idea. In the end, that meant I would also be driving away the most terrifying thought of all. That I could be the curse's next target. Yeah, that would be pretty terrifying.
しかしミオンは遅いな。 あいつのお手洗いってこんなに長いのか？
Ooh. Mion had said she was going to wash her hands and left. She hadn't come back yet. Probably best to just leave her be.
多分どっかでお昼寝してるんだと思う。昨べはきっと遅くまで村長さんを探すお手伝いをしてたんだと思うから。
Yeah, she'd just taken a little siesta. I smiled wryly and let out a sigh. Today was no good. However much we tried to lighten the mood, things always came back to the mayor. It was just a no-good day. I just transferred here recently, so the shock of a curse happening 5 years running was an unimaginably big one. Maybe I do need to appreciate that.
村長さんはね、ちっちゃかった頃、みーちゃんのことをすごく可愛がってくれたんだって。いたずら盛りのみーちゃんをすごく可愛がってくれたって。
So she might not be taking this too well.
よく話してたな。
I see. Mion was in shock too. Someone disappearing at all because of a curse was a very scary thing. The sacrifice was someone you knew, though, and the shock must be 100 times worse. Satoko, as if she'd come to the same conclusion, bit her lower lip and looked downward.
そういえばリカちゃんも遅いな。ひょっとしてリカちゃんも仲良くお昼寝か？
リカはそんなに遅くまではお付き合いしませんでしたわ。
Yeah, that's not shocking. They called the men.
リカがあくびをしたら、皆さんみんなして、おやすみなさいませ、おやすみなさいませって。
Now that she mentioned it, there were a lot of old people rubbing their prayer beads in fervent gratitude towards Rika-chan during the festival, too. An image of the indulgent elderly came to mind. Had Rika-chan discovered a way to get herself to be pampered like that?
リカちゃんって何気に年寄りのアイドルだな。
Yeah, she's the Furude, heir, right? It's really not that shocking, based on what we know about the Furude family and their religious significance in Hinamizawa. It's not, maybe a little over the top, but, it's not completely shocking.
理想の孫娘像ってやつなのか？
I thought I turned the friend notifications off. Whoops, I'll have to fix that later.
そんなの知らない。でも、リカちゃんのあくびなら見てみたい。きっとね、ぽわーって。
What? I don't know why, her just mocking the yawn.
お持ち帰り。そんなに可愛いとも思いませんけど。
Ooh, yeah, how does it feel?
くわーって喉の奥まで覗けるくらいの大あくびでしたよ。
I love how they're comparing the sound effects.
リカちゃんの大あくび。はー。
You're not gonna deter Rena, Satoko. It was a solid attempt. Rena's handy at times like these. Finally managed a heartfelt laugh. Oh right. I'm on day duty today, aren't I? I need to go get I need to go water the flower garden. I cannot read. Apparently I forgot how to read in these 2 years. The garden is right outside the teacher's lounge too, so they can immediately tell if you don't do it right. Oh my goodness. Another mistake, unlucky.
リカちゃんのだけじゃなく、さとこちゃんのも可愛いと思うわ。
You know, at least you're not leaving her out, right?
大あくび。窒息。はあ、ちらっと見えた。可愛いの見えた。さとこちゃんのあくびも可愛い。お持ち帰り。
You know, it is lightening the mood, at least, so... Not that I am ever really opposed to these moments, but this is as good a time as any for it. Rena was strangling Satoko. I don't think that counts as yawning. I don't think so either. You know, Rena is... I can't say it out loud, but she's a notorious censored, isn't she? Sweat. Hearing Satoko made a weird noise like a chicken being strangled was kind of hilarious, and I couldn't help but laugh. At some point, the classroom had erupted into laughter too. Maybe Rena was doing it on purpose. I could see it. Even if she wasn't, this nonsense was a welcome sight. Anyway, let's get over to the flowers while I still have time. Slowly and quietly, lest I destroy the room's newfound peace, I left the classroom. The watering can was hanging up outside the kitchen. This building had originally been an all-male forestry service building, so there was apparently nothing so thoughtful as a garden here before. When they decided to have a school share the space, they built one there as a modest gesture of appreciation. But, well, the flower bed, it was a little longer than you'd expect. It went all around. It went all over the place. It was so big, one would need to refill the watering can 5 or 6 times to get it done. What a pain! I was doing this together with a kid who was also, thankfully, on day duty today. She was in the lowest grade, though, and a full size smaller than even Rika-chan. I couldn't make a kid who was struggling just to lift the full watering can help me with this. If you were placed on day duty with someone who liked this sort of thing, they'd do it all for you, so it'd be a cake.
悪態をついても仕方ないな。諦めて仕事を始めるか。
Yeah, not much you can do about that. Watering can in hand, just as I was about to leave the building, the old man from the forestry office addressed me.
兄ちゃん、倉庫裏に菜園があるだろ。だいぶくたびれかけたぞ。あそこにも水をやってあげな。
Nice, we got more to water. Why do I feel like we're gonna see something when we go to that vegetable garden?
あのカレー菜園ですか？じゃがいもとか人参とか、カレーの具しか栽培してないっていう。
Wonder who planted that one. It's definitely the personal garden of our curry-loving teacher, but I think students responsible for its upkeep is getting them involved in her personal affairs. Couldn't say that to his face, though, so I gave up and decided to carry out my day duties. Yeah. The sunlight out front was strong. The great chorus of cicadas was strongly underlining how nothing was different today than yesterday. Oh, nothing is a little cap, but, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I guess it's like a the world moves on kind of moment. Just because things are so dramatic right now, it doesn't really, you know, things still gotta move, I guess. The best way for me to put it. I passed by the classroom, and I don't know how it happened, but Rena and Satoko were in the middle of a huge melee. While I was gone, the kids had arranged all the desks in a circle, forming a ring, while everyone was cheering them on. Dude, I am not betting against Rena. Dude, I think she could take, like, Mike Tyson in his prime, right? Against Satoko, it's GG. Yeah, that's how it should be. Once school ended, we would need to return to reality, where talk of the elders' disappearance would once again be all over the place. I wanted everyone to forget about everything and have fun, just like yesterday, if only while they were at school. It's an admirable stance. In that sense, Satoko's whirling elbow and Rena's backwards flying spin kick made for a pleasant sight, even if, as a result, they flipped over my desk. That's my pencil box. I'll just let it happen today. I set to work, hastily watering everything, wanting nothing more than to be done as soon as possible. That should about do it. No sooner had I thought that than I remembered that I had to water the teacher's curry vegetable garden too.
めんどくさいが、やらないと後でいろいろと不利益なことがありそうな気がする。
Yeah, probably. I gave up, filled the can with water again, and headed behind the warehouse. This was a place students didn't like to go. It was always damp here, and you couldn't discard the possibility of slugs and pillbugs being around. So when I ran across her in a place like that, I was surprised.
リカちゃんか。驚かせるなよ。
Rika-chan was just standing there like a puppet, devoid of life. I was the only one who was startled here. Rika-chan didn't even seem to react to my appearance.
リカちゃん？
She's out of it. Finally, she noticed me. Her expression was clearly abnormal. Yeah. There was red under her eyes, stained with tears and dirt. There were blades of grass stuck in her hair, too. Her clothes looked as though she'd fallen to the ground.
リカちゃん、ひょっとして怪我したのか？
No. I have a bad feeling this is sinister. Not like, oops, I fell in the ground. I don't know, that face. Something about that face worries me.
転んだとか？
違うのですよ。違うのです。
For some reason, the immediate thought in my head is, like, I don't know, for some reason in my head, I'm like, what if she buried the mayor? Right around here. What if we find a fresh patch of dirt while messing with the garden? I don't know if some blades of grass and... Oh, whoops. Misclick. Just left arrow for that. What? Red under her eyes. She's probably crying. Stained with... Yeah. Oh, it says it right there. I'm dumb. So crying. Got some dirt. Grass in her hair. Clothes looked as though, like, you know, she was clearly on the ground. Right? I don't know. It could have just been a little stumble, but For some reason, some part of me is like, she buried the mayor. She didn't look anywhere near normal, though.
何があったんだ？まさか倉庫の屋根の上で昼寝とかしてて落ちたとか？
僕のことはいいのです。それよりも、圭一に聞きたいことがあるのです。
I have a bad feeling this is going to be about Toмотake and Takino. Rika-chan walked over and clung to me. First, I thought she was playing a trick on me. Eventually, however, I realized it was so that I wouldn't run from the question she was about to ask. I shuddered.
俺になんだよ。
She looked straight into my eyes. Her upturned eyes bored right into me. We're about to see Rika creepy eyes, aren't we? It was as though they were trying to pull the answer out of my own eyes, without actually asking me the question. It was scary, so I averted my eyes from her. You know what the question is, and what the follow-up is.
圭一、お祭りの晩に何か悪いことをしましたか？
Mayhaps. My body gave a jolt from its very core. Rika-chan, who was clinging to me, might have felt my shiver. You're not gonna hide from her at that point. A nervous tingle crawled up from my feet, and after going up my back and freezing my entire body, it made its way into my brain.
圭一、本当に覚えはありませんか？
My head began to throb. I don't understand anything. Mion asked me. Oishi-san asked me. Shion asked me. And now Rika-chan was asking me. We thought nobody knew about what we did last night, but, in fact, everyone knew? They all knew, and they came to ask me. I don't think that was last night at this point, but, close enough. Pretty sure that was 2 nights ago. Again and again, until I admitted it. When I thought about it, it was pretty clear the whole thing was out in the open. After all, don't Toмотake-san and Takino-san's deaths prove it? You're at a point where you might as well just admit it and hope that by admitting it, they'll let you cleanse your sins. How should I respond? We never should have entered the forbidden storehouse, and even though I regretted it so much, was she saying it wasn't enough? However, I had all but decided what I was going to say.
俺もそこが悪いからな。悪いことの覚えが多すぎて見当がつかないよ。
That's, I guess better than the prior responses you've given by, a tiny, tiny amount, but just as I had with all the others, I evaded the question. Rika-chan stared up at me with innocent eyes. Her eyes were so painful that I had to look away. After a few moments of mutual silence, Rika-chan released me. I mean, she has her answers.
変なことを聞いてごめんなさいなのです。忘れてくださいなのですよ。
She said, smiling her usual smile. Then, tap, 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 she went running off, as if nothing happened. As she retreated in silence, I could feel her accusing me.
Rika-chan.
She didn't hear my voice, then I was going to give up. However, she heard it. Is he going to confess? Rika-chan swiveled around and waited for me to continue. I was the one who had questions now. Still, asking any of them could just be a half-assed way of admitting what I did.
なあ、Rika-chan。
はいなのです。
If everyone knows anyway, I should be able to at least ask this, right? Why is everyone asking me about the night of the festival? That evening. Had I done something that wrong? I mean, get, literally murdered or demoned away wrong? I would say probably no. But when the town is that creepy, right, and has that many rumblings of maybe you should not be their enemy. Yeah, going into their, basically, entering forbidden holy ground. There are wiser plans, for sure. I felt plenty sorry about it, and I only looked anyway. I didn't break anything or steal anything. Really. Still, Toмотake-san and Takino-san, they died so miserably. Since those two had come to such an end, there's obviously no way it would forgive only me. Rika-chan cutely tilted her head in confusion and waited for me to say something. If I were to admit to what happened that night, though, she might suddenly do a 180, as if flipping a switch. Yeah, you're probably way more right than you realize. That would make sense. Rika-chan was the shrine maiden. She was the least likely to forgive me for breaking the taboo, wasn't she? Upon reflection, wouldn't telling her be more terrifying than telling Mion or Oishi-san? Maybe, but like, I really think by continuing to dodge things, right, you're not going to put yourself in a better position. I don't know. It's not like him basically confessing here would, like, solve everything. But I think it might help his chances, maybe. Like, I don't know. There's not exactly... I don't know. It almost feels like... I always think of, like, a card game, right? If you're gonna lose by not doing anything, and you have something that gives you the tiniest of chances, you might as well take that chance, right? He's not going to win, as in keep his life, right? If he just continues to evade these questions, right? If he just continues to like, haha, no, I don't remember, haha, right? Like, I don't think anything happened. I don't know if I saw Shion, right? I mean, if he keeps doing that song and dance, what's going to change, right? Nothing. Nothing's going to change, right? I really do think he has a better chance if he tries something here. Rika-chan could just up and leave, couldn't she? She didn't. She only was quietly waiting for me to say it myself. Say it, Keiichi Maibara. You really are sorry, then you should say so. Of course, it's normal to hesitate, given the crazy way Tomotage-san and Takano-san died. A pulping machine called Chaos was grinding up my brain. The juice wrung out of it, turned into big droplets of sweat, which began to fall.
Keiichi.
Rika-chan suddenly straightened up, trying to pat me on the head.
圭一が何を悩んでいるのか、僕にはよくわからないのです。
I had nothing to say to that. I lowered my head a little so that Rika-chan's palm could reach it. She petted me, kind of like one would a cat.
境内の裏を少し行ったところに大きな倉庫があるのをご存知ですか？
Yeah, she's not even gonna hide that she knows what it was either.
西宮殿と言いますです。
My breath literally stopped. Rika-chan, though, wasn't acting in a coercive way at all. She is quite, like, it feels like she is telling you, like, I'm giving you the chance to tell me, right? Will that make things better? I don't know. Maybe she just wants us to be the one to say it, right? So that she can then murder us, right? Maybe. I don't know, right? But, like, feels like she's trying to, you know, like, just get us to say it of our own volition.
お祭りの晩、その西宮殿に猫さんが入り込んだのだそうです。
Right, a cat.
猫？
はい、猫さんです。にゃーにゃーなのです。
Yeah, it was definitely a cat, and she definitely doesn't know otherwise. Rika-chan knew. She realized I was in fear. I could tell she was desperately trying to choose the right words so that she wouldn't scare me. Yeah, she really is.
猫さんは前から西宮殿の中を探検してみたいと思っていました。
This is about to be like a metaphor. Okay.
でも僕が意地悪をして中を見せてあげなかったのです。なので祭りの夜、猫さんは我慢できなくなって中に入ってみましたのです。
The cat. It was clearly supposed to be Takano-san. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Or wait, was it supposed to be me? I would definitely say that fits Takano more, right? You're just the cat who happened to walk in with the cat, right? You know, you weren't the head honcho cat, but you were the cat who followed that first one in, right? Specifically the, just the description that, like, you know, basically they wanted to explore. Rika didn't let them. And then the cat couldn't hold themselves back and went inside, right? Like, that's gotta be Takano.
実は中には猫さんが怖がるものがたくさんあったのです。
Rika-chan made a cute gesture like a ghost was coming out to frighten me.
猫さんはびっくり仰天。一目散に逃げ出してガタガタブルブルニャーニャーで大変なのです。
その猫が誰だって言うんだ？
猫さんは猫さんです。ニャーニャー。
Rika-chan still avoided saying it. The cat, though, was without a doubt me. I mean, like, it would make sense that she's describing him. So we'll just like buy that for now, I think. I still think, given the description they gave, Takano makes more sense. But whatever.
リカちゃん、頼む。教えてくれ。その猫さんは、これからどうしたらいい？
Maybe it was a desperate question to ask. I had sort of admitted to being the cat.
猫さんは猫さんですから、にゃーにゃー泣いてるだけで大丈夫ですよ。
大丈夫って、そんないい加減な。
Why
に
is
ゃ
that
ーにゃー
stupid?
泣いてるだけではダメなのですか？
Yeah, this feels like she's just telling us, like, act normal, pretend you didn't see anything, just keep living as a Hinamizawa, and then maybe you'll live. Jeez. Rika-chan and I put together an entire conversation using cat as a code word. I didn't say it directly, but I had already admitted it. I didn't want to end up like those two. I didn't want to be a sacrifice, like Shion said. That's what I thought. So I stubbornly remained silent. But now, that's enough.
泣いてるだけじゃダメなんだ。猫さんがいたずら心で忍び込んだのを犬さんが見てたんだよ。
That.
犬さん。
そうだ、犬さんなんだ。猫さんのところへ代わる代わるやってきて忍び込んだだろうって問いただしてくるんだ。
Okay, she'll probably pick up on that. After I said that, Rika-chan's expression clouded over. She was trying to hide it, but I'd already noticed her eyes darkening.
リカちゃん、
The silence was frightening, so I spurred her on. At that point, Rika-chan grinned.
大丈夫ですよ。猫さんは僕が守ってあげます。
Okay. Huh? I thought for a moment that I'd misheard those words. So dependable they were.
猫さんはとても怖がっていますが、何匹かの犬さんがきっと勘違いしてるだけなのだと思います。
そんなに大変なことじゃないって。
Made a bad decision, not necessarily a bad actor, feels like what she's saying. Right? You didn't have malicious intent, you just let curiosity get the best of you. And so, at the very least, it seems like Rika, like, understands. Right?
猫さんの心配しすぎなのです。僕がきっと何とかしてあげますですよ。
Rika-chan will do something about it? I don't even know left from right at the moment. So Rika-chan didn't look all that dependable.
ちょっと大変ですけど、頑張りますですよ。
Doesn't look all that dependable. Man, I don't know why you're talking trash on quite literally your only remaining lifeline. You better hope she's dependable. I guess I can understand why you would think she might not be, but you don't have anything to do but hope.
ファイト、王なのです。
She clenched her fist and stuck it in the air. Classic Rika. Rika-chan said that the cat can just keep meowing. She said to leave it all to her. Is that really all it took to resolve this whole thing? I don't know if I'd be that confident, but it's your best shot.
本当にリカちゃんで大丈夫なのか？
僕が頑張らないと、犬さんも大変なことになってしまうかもしれないのです。
I had no idea what Rika-chan was talking about anymore. Now that's an interesting statement, to be completely honest. So, if we're assuming the dogs are like, I'm thinking like, potentially other Hinamizawans or Oishi, right? Right, one of the two. In my head, I instantly think Hinamizawans, right? And basically, like, she doesn't do her best to resolve this. Like, this could just keep, this whole, bad things could keep happening to Hinamizawans, basically, is my guess, is as to what she means. Feels like Rika's aware that things are not normal, and need fixed here. She'd been talking to me under the assumption that I was aware of certain things. So at first, I understood her. Around the middle, though, I stopped understanding anything. Around the middle. I mean, that's the only line that, The real question is, what does Rika mean by the dogs? Right? What does she mean by the dogs? It wasn't exactly... It might not be as clear. Just keep moving. However, one thing I did know was to not worry and to leave it to her. Rika-chan straightened up once again, patted me on the head, and smiled. I was so moved by that reassuring feeling that I couldn't help but start to cry.
ごめん。猫さんも本当にちょっとしたいたずらのつもりだったんだ。こんなことになるなんて全然。
猫さんは臆病すぎです。だから見せたくなかったのです。
That is accurate. She was right. It was far too shocking for someone to see based on a little bit of interest alone. That's why they made it so difficult to look at in the first place, wasn't it?
リカちゃん、その猫さんはどうなるんだろう。忍び込んだ2匹の猫さんが、あの晩に。
I'd heard Tomotage-san and Takano-san's deaths were being kept a secret. Rika-chan might not have known about it. But she knows about it.
富武と高野ですか？
Oh, we're using names now. Okay. I gave a start at the sudden mention of actual names. Though it's weird to do that at this point.
忘れると良いのです。
What does THP mean? Is that a sound effect? My spine froze again.
忘れる？
はい、あの二人のことを思い出すことは、圭一にとって良くないことなのです。
That's a frightening way to put it, but...
考えれば考えるほど怖くなるだけです。だから早く忘れた方がいいのです。
I mean, unfortunately that is the actual best advice here. We'll see if Keiichi can follow it, though. She said something so enormously terrifying, without letting the smile on her face waver at all.
どこで聞いたかわかりませんが、きれいさっぱりお風呂でゴシゴシするみたいに忘れちゃうと良いのですよ。
忘れるって言ったって、リカちゃんは知ってるんだろう。あの二人がどういう死に方を。
Bro, you better relax. What did she just tell you?
どんな死に方をしても、それは圭一とは関係のないことなのです。
She is not so subtly telling us to just keep living life, right? Just move on, just ignore it. Like, this isn't like a, you need to move on for psychological reasons. This is a, if you want to keep your life, right? You best just act like a normal Hinamizawan. You saw nothing, you heard nothing, you weren't there, like that type of deal. Rika declared this in a flat voice. Nothing to do with me, so forget about it. The girl before me, she was innocent and lovable, and even seemed trustworthy, but suddenly she took on another dimension. Don't get involved with their deaths. I'll help you, Keiichi. Those two contradictory statements twisted and distorted my image of the girl in front of me.
シオンはあいつはどうなるんだ？
It might have been dangerous to mention Shion's name, but I couldn't stop myself from asking. Rika-chan saw through everything anyway. There was no way I was going to fool her or keep anything from her at this point.
姉妹猫の妹ですか？にゃーにゃー。
Right.
そうだ、妹猫だ。
Rika-chan appeared to think upon this for a moment. It was hard for me to endure even this momentary silence. Yeah, I bet.
姉猫は怒ってます。
Yeah?
妹猫が悪いことをしたので、とても怒ってます。
I can't say I'm shocked by that.
姉猫って。
That doesn't really reflect well on the Sonozaki family as a whole, I'd imagine. That could only mean Mion. I recall being questioned by her yesterday.
圭一、姉猫はとても機嫌が悪いです。しばらくの間、そっとしてあげてほしいなのです。
Rika, I think you are the smartest person in this cast right now. That's what I'm thinking. Not in a good mood. Those words sent a shiver through me. Mion was mad. She was mad that we entered the ritual storehouse.
今日から部活はなしにしましょう。
Probably for the best.
なんでだよ。
そっとしてあげてほしいからなのです。
I agree. Rika-chan ended her sentence with such force I couldn't say anything in response. Hey, Keiichi Maibara, don't disobey Rika-chan right now. She's the only one who said she'll help me right now. I'll leave things to her, just as she said to. I mean, she even said that the cat should just keep meowing. I'll forget everything, like she said. I'll leave everything to her. I'll forget everything about Takano-san and Toмотake-san, what I did that night. Just then, we heard a bell, far away, marking the end of our lunch break.
じゃあ校舎に戻ろうか。
ケイチ、
As if she had noticed how miserable I was, about to leave everything to her and flee the scene, Rika-chan called out to stop me.
勘違いの犬さんが猫さんに噛みつこうとしたら知らせてくださいね。
The misunderstanding dog. She put it in such a cute-sounding way, but the true meaning behind those words was an eerie one.
勘違いの犬さんってなんだ。
We need to be
村長を
direct.
噛んだ犬さんです。
Whoa. Whoa.
どうして村長を噛んだのかを噛むなら、いたずら猫さんを先に噛むはずなのにです。
What? So, it feels like she basically just confirmed that the mayor just got demoned away. And she doesn't know why that happened. Instead of, frankly, she's like, yeah, I don't know why you're alive. If we're gonna be honest here. Right? The flow of blood in my body felt like it completely stopped for a moment. Rika-chan had admitted it. The sacrifices of that terrible calamity. She admitted that if they were to happen again, it would be Shion or I. I didn't know what was true about the girl standing before me. My suspicion gave way to fear, and nearly began to change into anger. Was she a savior who would protect me? Or a stranger, trying to capture and kill me for the sake of a horrible tradition? I had no idea what was true.
ごめんなさいなのです。猫さんが怖がっているのに、また怖がるようなことを言ってしまいました。
That is unfortunately quite true. You did.
ごめんなさいなのです。
Yeah. I mean, she's not wrong, but given the circumstances, I can't particularly get mad at her. Right? She's like our only lifeline right now. So, Rika-chan bowed so quickly it looked like her head had been pulled downward. Still, she was right. I was cowering. I could distinctly feel my body shaking violently. So when Rika-chan reached her hand out to pat me on the head, I pulled away without thinking.
あ、
ごめん。
Rika-chan made a very sad face. I just couldn't bring myself to put out my head for her again. That might not help your case here, Keiichi. It really might not help your case. I know, I hope she just knows you're scared, but you never know. That day, Rika-chan said she wasn't feeling up for club activities, so she suggested we don't bother. There's always vetoes when someone doesn't feel up to it. Ren and the others seemed really disappointed. The big sister cat is not in a good mood. I remembered Rika-chan's word and quietly stole a glance at Mion's expression. I could forget the way she questioned me yesterday, though. Her behavior was the same as it always was. Quite an actor, I suppose. Okay, that's the scene. Where to now? Okay, that was a really long black screen. After dinner, without the energy to watch TV, I climbed into the futon in my bedroom, and let my head be overtaken by gloomy thoughts. I told Rika-chan anything and everything. She had seemed trustworthy at the time, but had that really been the right choice? The more I looked back on it, the less I understood what Rika-chan was saying. Not only did she know about Takano-san and Toмотake-san's deaths, but she spoke of them as if she were a concerned party. After all this time, in my futon, I began to tremble fiercely. Had I been lured in by Rika-chan's sweet smile and told her things I shouldn't have? It's very possible. I mean, that's the real question right now. That's the real question right now. I should have continued to feign ignorance. Shouldn't have shown her such a weak side of me. My emotions are a mix of regret and fear, and it colored the darkness of the night with an additional layer of terror. Suddenly, a knock. I might have yelped. That's how surprised I was.
圭一、さっきから呼んでるぞ。電話だ。園崎さんから。
Which Sonozaki? Should pick it up either way, but it was Dad. I reached out for the cordless phone through the gap in my door.
園崎さんってどっち？姉？妹？
そんなのは知らん。自分で出て聞きなさい。
Alright. We'll see. I took the receiver and buried myself in my futon again.
もしもし、ミオンか？シオンか？
私です。
Okay.
シオンです。こんばんは。
I practically jumped out of bed. It was Shion, who I hoped so desperately would call me back last night.
シオン！ゆうべはすまなかった。つい興奮して。
I heard what sounded like a deep sigh on the other end.
俺もシオンも同じ立場なんだよな。一方的に責めるような言い方をして悪かった。もうしない。謝るから機嫌を直してくれ。
機嫌を直したから電話したんです。後悔したなら許してあげますから。もう謝るのをやめてください。
Shion's tone still sounded a little angry, but for the moment, she said she'd forgive me.
ケイちゃんの言うように、私たちは運命共同体なんです。互いの無事の確認が自分たちの安全の唯一の保証なんです。
That is true.
ああ、それについては同感だ。
だから、私たちは互いの知っている情報を共有する必要があります。
This is the part where he's like, oops, I told Rika everything.
高野さんたちみたいな死に方をしないために。
Gulp. I forced myself to swallow a solid drop of saliva.
では、昨日の続きを話します。もう怒らないで聞いてくれますよね。
Yep, hopefully. Hopefully. Guess I can't guarantee that.
ああ、大丈夫だ。
まず、私たちが思っている以上に、最後殿に忍び込んだことは禁止、
Yeah,
タブーだったみたいです。
you don't say. I think we figured that one out. Takano-san and Tomatake-san's miserable ends, terrible enough that you could call them a warning. Or more than enough to make me believe that.
犯人たちは、最後殿を怪我した首謀格のあの二人を殺し、次に私たちを狙います。否定したいでしょうが、これを認めてください。
No, I think we're kind of done denying it at least.
失踪してから認めても、もう遅いんですよ。
分かってるって。用心に越したことはないからな。
私も、本当は認めたくありません。あんな拷問道具の博覧会を覗き見したことが、あんな殺され方をする理由になるなんて、絶対に信じたくない。
That's what a taboo is. For those who honor it, if one breaks the taboo, no matter how small or innocent their intentions were, they wouldn't be forgiven.
互いに何か気になることがあったら報告し合いましょう。互いの持つ小さな断片を合わせていけば、ひょっとすると高野さんたちを殺した、いえ、今年の事件に限らない。
Don't worry, we're definitely going to solve this whole case in Chapter 2.
過去の連続事件を解決する鍵が見つかるかもしれません。
That we could find. Some key information is the big thing we're looking for.
そうだな。確かにそうだ。
All I was doing was waiting in fear, but Shion had already thought that far ahead. Given how trustworthy she felt, I became embarrassed over how passive I was being.
では、まずは言い出した私からいきます。最近、誰かに監視されているような気がします。
え？
と言っても、気のせいかもしれません。でも、一応報告します。今は気のせいだと思っていますけど、もしもケイちゃんも同じように、誰かに監視されているように感じるなら、これは気のせいじゃないのかもしれませんから。
そういうことなら安心しろ。少なくとも、俺の方は大丈夫だ。
I think. As I spoke with Shion, I thought back on today. I had no grounds to say that everything was fine.
そうですか。では気のせいということにしますが、ケイちゃんも注意してください。特に一人で表を歩くときは、細心の注意を払ってください。私は沖宮ですから、一人きりになることはそうそうありませんが、ケイちゃんはひなみ沢です。一人ぼっちになることも多いはずです。
That is very true.
特に注意してください。
そうだな。ああ、気をつけるよ。
それから、お姉なんですが、何か変わった様子はありませんか？
I guess we shoshould tell her about when she questioned us.
お姉って、ミオンのことか？変わった様子って、どういうことだ？
先日、私、お姉に 渡流しの夜の所在について問いただされました。
それは俺もだよ。一昨日かな。ミオンに聞かれた。
やっぱりですか。私は言ってないと答えました。ケイちゃんは？
同じだよ。ごまかした。
Both of us gave a quiet sigh of relief. Bro, you know just as well as I do that did not dissuade Mion at all.
渡流しの晩以降、お姉の様子はおかしいです。用心に越したことはありませんので、注意してくださいね。
Mion was acting strangely. Aside from her asking about... Oh my goodness. Aside from her asking me about the night at Watanagashi, she hadn't seemed too out of the ordinary, that is true. At least, from my point of view. Her twin sister, though, was saying she was acting weird. Maybe it was such a slight change that a stranger like me wouldn't be able to notice.
わかった。少し用心するよ。帰り道は必ずレナも一緒だから、二人きりになるってこともそうそうないしな。
You know, I don't know if that's the safety net you think it is, but...
用心してください。気になることがあったら教えてくださいね。
わかった。
So did he not mention anything about
で
Rika?
は、ケイちゃんの方では
No,
何
it's
か
his turn.
私に話すことはありませんか？
My turn. That's right. Maybe I should report on Oishi-san asking me the same question at the library.
あ、ケイちゃんが逃げ遅れたあの時の話ですね。
ああ、大石さんにかなり強い口調で聞かれたよ。あの晩、高野さんたちと一緒にいなかったか、シオンに会わなかったかって。大石さんは俺たちが4人一緒にいたところを見ていたようだった。
警察にしてみれば、高野さんたちが最後に会った人間ということになりますからね。私たちに興味を持つのはある意味当然でしょうね。
Yep.
こっちもごまかしたけど、かえって興味を持たれたかもしれない。
There was no way I could have tricked that sly old fox, Oishi-san. Yeah, pretty much. My troubled countenance would have only made him even more certain.
なあ、シオン、警察なら行っちゃってもいいんじゃないのか？むしろ俺たちの状況を思えば、警察を味方につけるのはプラスだと思うぞ。
Is this where we learned some interesting things about, like, Oishi and crew? Shion didn't answer right away. For a few moments, all I could hear was her breathing as she thought about it.
そういえば大石さんはミオンに何らかの嫌疑があるなんて言ってたような気がする。うん、確かにそう言ってた。
昨日も話しました通り、園崎家はひなみ沢に強い影響力を持っています。大石は一連の連続開始事件を園崎本家が中心になった村ぐるみの犯行だと疑っていますから。
園崎家が中心になった村ぐるみの犯行？
I could definitely buy it. Please, don't get angry like you did yesterday, and just listen. I hammered that home before I got too upset.
ひなみ沢のダム闘争の時、リーダーシップを期待された神主があまりに日和見だったので、園崎本家が首謀閣になって決起したんです。
Suppose that's probably why the Furude family lost some of its influence.
戦いの歴史についてはお姉から聞いてますよね。
ああ、ひなみ沢全体で一丸となって戦ったんだろう。デモをしたり、裁判に訴えたり、テレビに出たり。
実際はもっともっと過激なこともたくさん行われたんです。
Yeah.
園崎本家が水面下で様々な違法な抵抗活動を行ったと言われてます。
Shocker.
違法な抵抗活動？
例えば夜中に建設現場に忍び込み、機材を盗んだり壊したり、建設重機のガソリンタンクに角砂糖を入れたりとか。
Nice.
ガソリンタンクに砂糖？なんでそんなことを？
知らないんですか？戦争中にフランスの地下組織なんかがやった典型的なゲリラ活動ですよ。砂糖を入れるとエンジンが焦げついて壊れちゃうんですよ。
Goodness, they were playing dirty. That's pretty bad though, isn't it? It was destruction of property, and nothing less.
建設現場への監視が強化されると、今度は工事の重要な立場にある人間への攻撃に変更されました。例えば工事を認可した役人たちには様々な脅迫が行われました。それは県庁の役人だけでなく、建設省の偉い役人にまで及んだそうです。
Goodness. That's not shocking, but...
聞いた話では子供の誘拐までやったとか。
What? Okay, why not? Sure, they kidnapped a child. Awesome.
誘拐？
ええ、建設省のひなみ沢ダムを担当する偉い人の子供が神隠しにあったんですよ。で、ある日突然、ひなみ沢のもっと上流の高津戸の山中で保護されまして、犯行声明はなかったって言われてるんですけど、ダム工事を中止するようにとの脅迫があったのではないかと囁かれています。
They're probably right.
他にも枚挙にいとまがないほどの脅迫の話があります。
それは確かにちょっとやばいな。
Sort of.
そんな最中だったんですよ。第一の事件、現場監督のバラバラ殺人があったのは、園崎家が主犯格の男を買収したのではと囁かれてますが、何しろ今日も逃走中ですからね。そんな最中だったんですよ。第一の事件、現場監督のバラバラ殺人があったのは。
When you put it that way, the Sonozaki family definitely seems suspicious. Yeah.
犯人も口封じで消したんじゃないかって大石は思ってるみたいです。
That wouldn't shock me.
当然ですね。身内である私ですら、園崎本家の暗躍があったのではないかと思ってるくらいですから。
Doesn't sound like it's really that behind the scenes.
それを俺に信じろってのか？ミオンの園崎本家がそんな悪いことをやってきたと信じろというのか？
ケイちゃんが信じなくても村人たちは信じてます。自分たちが綺麗な抵抗運動をする陰で園崎家が汚い抵抗運動をしてくれた。
Yep.
自分たちの矢面に立って戦ってくれたんだってみんな思ってます。ですからちょっとしたダークヒーローとして崇められているんですよね。
More and more we hear about the Sonozaki family, obviously the worse it gets.
私が知っているのは本当に一部だけだと思います。
I mean, like, it was pretty obvious they were up to no good, even, like, as far as Chapter 1, right? Like, but it just keeps getting worse.
例えば誘拐なんかの特にヤバい話は当主のバッチャーを含めほんの数人しか知らされてないと思います。園崎家は秘密主義ですから。
秘密主義か。
The family's so unforthcoming that even Shion, who's related to them, doesn't know everything about them. The Sonozaki family. Unlike Shion, her older twin, Mion, was deeply involved with everything. And that was not a fun thought to entertain. Yeah, we heard she caught, like, didn't she get charged for some things? Right, I don't remember the specifics, right? But, like, I'm pretty sure, like, she was, like, she caught criminal charges, like, you know, or we heard that in Chapter 1, right? So, like, it's pretty clear that Mion was definitely intertwined with whatever was going on during the dam protests, right? And that it was not exactly ethical ways of, protesting.
そういった違法な抵抗運動の中心として年少ながら活躍したのがお姉でした。
Yeah.
ミオンがどういうことだよ。
うちのお父さん、ヤクザの大物ですから。
That's like the least surprising thing I've ever heard.
年少のお姉でも若い柄の悪いのを何人も従えることができました。で、様々な嫌がらせや妨害をやってのけたんです。
ミオンが？
今はなんだかのんびりした雰囲気だから想像もつかないでしょうが、器物破損から脅迫、暴行まで一通りこなして何度も補導されたんですよ。子供ですからすぐに釈放してもらえたみたいですけどね。
Yeah, that's plain dirty.
お姉は自分の年齢が武器になることを知ってたみたいです。
It may have been indiscreet. I couldn't help but chuckle dryly. She may have been young. She was certainly still Mion. Even back then, she'd already been known for her craftiness.
笑い事じゃないです。真剣になってください。
悪い。そんなつもりじゃ。
Shion had gotten pretty angry at me.
まあ、そんな不良娘だったお姉もいつの間にか園崎本家の重鎮、大石がバラバラ殺人以降の事件を疑いたくなるのもまあ無理ないことです。
He's probably right to. Like, for a few moments, I was dumbstruck at the tales of Mion's past. None of them matched the image I had of her. A younger Mion, dirtying her hand with all sorts of crimes, giving the damn construction project hell. As the successor to the Sonozaki main family, she was always right at the center of the vortex of strange incidents occurring year after year. Was that really the Mion I know? Maybe the one I know isn't the real Mion. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't bring myself to accept these images of Mion I was hearing from another person.
話を戻します。
You might need to bring yourself to accept it, dude.
お姉が注意に値する存在であることは理解してもらえたと思います。
You saw that look in her eyes, man. You know, like you should know.
注意してくだ
Truthfully.
さい。
I didn't want to understand. Mion was a fantastic friend. She would never do something to back me into a corner like that. She did ask me pretty harshly about the night of the festival, but even that, it wasn't like she'd said it in a mean way or anything.
わかった。気をつけるようにするよ。
Yeah. Okay.
私とお姉は血のつながった姉妹ですが、園崎家にあってはまるで格が違うんです。
I was gonna say, Mion just sounds like she's like straight up the successor, like from what we've heard. And I think they literally say as much. Like, or Oishi told us that she's set to inherit the whole Sonozaki family, which is, that's a big thing to inherit, right? And not just like responsibility-wise, but like the way Oishi made it sound is like that family is like an asset, like a weapon, you know, right? Like she's very likely much more embroiled in a lot of things than we know.
私とはとても遠い存在だということを認識してください。お願いします。
The more Shion tells me about Mion, the less I understand who Mion is. The Mion I know wasn't a dangerous person. She joked around, smiled a lot, and was full of passion. Now that I'd realized I held such a view towards her, Shion was telling me to change it. To be careful around my the best friend ever. To doubt her. The idea was very sad and painful.
で、大石の件ですが、ケイちゃんがいいと判断するなら、必要な情報を与えてもいいと思います。やはり警察を味方につけるのは、私たちに有利に働くと思います。
It's probably your best bet. But let's just say, if you get the police involved, the cat isn't exactly going to keep meowing, you know? This kind of feels like, who do we listen to? Who do we side with, right? Rika or Oishi, basically, right? Like Rika in the village, or like, and try to just cover things up and just keep moving on. Life is normal. Or are they going to go to the police? You know, based on chapter 1, I'm leaning the police, but you know, we'll see.
やっぱりシオンもそう思うか。
ただ、今説明した通り、園崎の人間はそもそも警察に睨まれているんです。特に大石は、園崎家が丸ごと連続事件の黒幕だと決めてかかってますからね。それはもちろん私も含めてです。ですから、私はあまり大石には関わりたくないんです。
That's valid. I see. Oishi-san had found out about the Sonozaki family's strife-filled history, and he probably wouldn't be very happy with Shion either. At last, I understood Mion's instinctive dislike for Oishi-san.
どうせバレてはいるんですが、一応私の名前を伏せておいてください。それだけ守ってくれれば、大石には何を話しても問題ないと思います。
Yeah, good luck with that.
わかった。伏せるようにするよ。
Like he doesn't already know, but sure.
警察の捜査力は、今の私たちにはとても心強い武器になると思います。大石が興味深い話をしたら、私にも聞かせてくださいね。
ああ、もちろんだ。情報は互いに交換し、研究し合おう。高野さんたちを殺したのは誰なのか、そして俺たちを狙うのは誰なのか、それがわかるまで、俺たちは自衛しなくてはならない。
あとはありますか？大石に聞かれたこと以外は、身に起こったことは、どんな些細なことでも教えてください。
Yes. Are we going to tell her about Rika? After my discussion with Oishi-san? Oh. Should I tell her that I revealed everything to Rika-chan? Rika-chan was acting like she knew something I didn't. She told me to leave it to her. What? That's right. When I was talking to her, I mentioned Shion's name too. Is that a mistake? I felt like Shion would get angry.
何もないんですか？ケイちゃん？
I'd remained quiet for a little while, so Shion encouraged me to speak, unable to bear the silence. As I struggled with what to say, Shion addressed me instead.
ないようでしたら、
私から聞きたいんですけど。
She's gonna ask about Rika.
私もついさっき聞いたんですが、
Oh,
君吉のおじいちゃんが行方不明になったって
that is very
本当
true.
ですか？
That is very much true. The old man Kimiyoshi? My gut told me that was the name of the mayor.
村長さんのことか？なんだシオン、聞いてないのか？
何も知らないです。お父さんが電話でそう話してるのをまた盗み聞いただけですから。
I realized I shouldn't have said that. Here in Hinamizawa, the things that happened around this time, when Yashiro-sama's curse would occur, would all be covered up.
ああ、実はな、昨べ会合の後、家に帰ってこないとかでひなみ沢中で大騒ぎになったんだ。村中で探したみたいだけど、まだ見つかったって話は聞かないな。警察も探してるはずなんだけど。
なんでそんな大事な話を先にしてくれなかったんですか？
That's... We didn't think about the fact that you didn't know that. She shouted angrily at me, bringing all her emotion to bear.
悪い。もう知ってると思ってたんだよ。隠す気なんかなかった。
The receiver was silent. Did Shion get mad again and hang up?
おい、シオン、もしもし？
ケイちゃん、私どうしよう。
Oh no. She is really scared. Yeah, that's not good. Shion's tiny, confused voice sounded like it belonged to a different person than the one yelling a few seconds ago.
どうした？話せよ。俺たちの間で隠し事はなしだろ？
He says while still keeping secrets. Shion hesitated for a long while, but then she confessed.
ごめん。隠すつもりはなかったんです。ちょっと言うのが前後したっていうか。
俺たちは仲間だろ。
What's going
怒ったり
on?
しないから正直に話せよ。
Shion still hesitated for a few moments. Then, in a resigned voice, she continued.
私、君吉のおじいちゃんに打ち明けたんです。
You know, we might have also told somebody everything we know. It evens out. Shion seemed to think I would yell at her right after she said that, so I heard her catching her breath. Contrary to what she thought, I was a little relieved. Shion had done the same thing I had when I had confessed everything to Rika-chan. So, in as gentle as a voice as I could so as not to set her off, I responded.
君吉のじいさんってのはシオンにとって相談できる心安い人なんだろ？
はい、私のことを小さい頃から本当に可愛がってくれて。
Shion felt the same pain as the rest of us from the mayor's disappearance. In the last episode or two, they said something about, Kimiyoshi's relationship with one of Shion or Mion. For some reason, I really thought it was Mion that he had a really good relationship with. And if that is the case, that kind of changes quite literally everything here. It's not impossible that it wouldn't also, that, like, it could have also just been with Shion as well. So I'm not going to freak out over this. In my head, here's the thing that's happening right now, is I always am, like, trying to make sure that I feel like now that they have made it clear that Shion and Mion are different characters, at some point they're going to do a little switcheroo, right? And I'm always trying to keep a lookout for that, so I get overly suspicious of anything that lines up more with my perception of Mion than Shion. This is one of those things. I'm not going to freak out too much right now. I don't know why... Like, frankly, I don't know why Neon, even if she was disguised as Shion, like, why she would tell us this much information, right? There's no particular reason. Like, I don't know what she's gaining from it, really. I guess information from us about, like, who we've talked to. I don't think it's very likely. So, we're not gonna swing for the fences with a theory on this one that I'm not even that sold on. We'll just keep moving. Shion felt the same pain as the rest of us from the mayor's disappearance. She had a different kind of strength from Mion, and as she continued, her voice sounded truly sad and pained.
私、いつも意地悪なことをしてたのに、いつもニコニコと笑って。
She's worried she got him demoned away.
私の言うことは何でも聞いてくれて、本当に優しい人だったのに。
落ち着けよ、シオン。別に死んでしまったわけじゃないだろ。そんな簡単に諦めるなよ。
He's dead. Shion didn't answer. Even as I said it myself, I didn't think we'd ever find the missing mayor again. We probably wouldn't even figure out if he was alive or dead. And check the curry garden. Shion must have been thinking the same thing.
村長さんに私最後でに忍び込んだこと、誰かにそれを見られてて私たちを狙っている人がいるって。
村長さんは高野さんたちがまともじゃない死に方をしたのを知ってるのか？
はい、知っていました。あの二人がお社様のたたりで死んだから、私はその怒りを鎮める生贄にされるんじゃないかって。
Don't tell me the mayor played the
本
hero.
当に率直に言いました。
ああ、それで
君吉のおじいちゃん怒らなかった。そしてにっこり笑って、しおんちゃんがちゃんと反省してるなら鬼隠しになんかなるものかって本当に笑いながら任せなさい。
I'm drawing parallels, and I was actually already kind of starting to draw them, based on like when. Oh no, oh, I hope that I am missing this parallel. There is nothing more I want than for this parallel to not continue, right? So if it's not obvious, the person she felt that she was able to confide to, and that she did confide everything to, right, was Kimiyoshi, and like down to, you know, him telling her, leave it to me, right? Like, just leave it to me. And then he disappears, presumably demoned away. And this is exactly what happened with us and Rika, right? She asked us, we confided in her. She told us to leave it to her. Would that indicate that she's about to get demoned away? Until Shion stopped sobbing, I was unable to find any words for her. Couldn't imagine what kind of person the mayor was, nor what Shion's relationship with him was like. Words of comfort, however, mean so much to us when we're about to be crushed by anxiety. Today, Rika-chan taught me that too. Someone who gave me such a sense of security were to disappear. I could guess what kind of shock Shion was in.
私のせいです。私が打ち明けてしまったから。
Boy, do I have news for you.
よせよシオン、シオンのせいじゃないよ。
私のせいなんです。私が打ち明けてしまったから。
I can see why she'd blame herself.
君吉のおじいちゃんが知ってしまったから。だから殺されてしまったに違いないんです。だって打ち明けてすぐなんですよ。打ち明けて大丈夫って言ってくれたその晩に消えてしまった。
Makes you wonder what happened in that meeting. He found out, so he became involved.
話すんじゃなかった。これは全部私たち4人の咎だったはず。他人に話してはいけないことだったんです。
How long before Keiichi puts it together that he just told Rika everything?
話したから殺されてしまった。だから殺されてしまった。打ち明けたから殺されてしまった。
おい待てよ、そんなやつなら打ち明けた村長を殺す前にお前から先に殺すに決まってるじゃないか。
Unless he somehow drew the heat to himself.
順番が違うよ。殺されるなら俺かシオンが先、他の奴らが先に死んだりするものか。
順番はあります。私たちを一番最後に殺すつもりに違いないんです。
It's possible.
は？なんだって？
人思いに殺さないで、親しい人たちから順々に殺していって、散々悲しい思いをさせた後に殺す、そういう狙いに違いないんです。
I can definitely see why you would believe that, and I can't say I think that's false. I could buy it.
落ち着けって。シオンは今ショックを受けてパニックを起こしてるだけなんだよ。
That is very true, though. She is panicking.
村長の失踪はシオンとは関係ない。
That is probably false.
無関係だ。高野さんたちの死とも全く関係ないんだ。
My words came out as a scream, as if I were shouting them at myself.
関係あります。絶対にそうなんです。私が話したから殺されてしまった。だから殺されてしまった。打ち明けたから殺されてしまった。
He still hasn't, like, in his head fully put it together. She repeated the same thing as before, as though she were in delirium. In a delirium. Despite me trying to control the crazed Shion, for some reason, the shadow at my feet began to freeze. Is he gonna realize? Whoa. From that shadow, a cold arm reached out. So cold it seemed like it would freeze even my heart just by touching me, and grabbed my ankle. The heat generated by my body, the arm was absorbing it. was a horrible chill. A freezing cold, numbingly frigid. It was an inviolable chill of fear. Though I sympathized with Shion, I had been naive in thinking it was something only she had to worry about. Here it is. Yep. In my head, Shion's eerie words repeated again and again. He was killed because I told him. He was killed because he found out. I confessed everything. So he was killed. Those words echoed through my head like a monotone mantra, and finally, those even repetitions took on meaning. The quiet shaking that had already overtaken me turned into a violent shiver that shot up my spine.
リカちゃんだ。
今、なんて言ったんですか？
俺も実は打ち明けたんだ。
There it is.
リカちゃんに今日。
リカちゃんってリカちゃまのことですか？フルデ神社のリカちゃま？
The very same.
そうだよ、リカちゃんだよ。俺もどうしようもなく不安で打ち明けたんだ、リカちゃんに。
そうしたらリカちゃまはなんて？
No, oh no. They're about to freak out. The cat is worrying too much. I'll do something about it for sure. That's what Rika-chan said, and then she smiled. She smiled just like the missing mayor had when he encouraged Shion. Oh no.
ごめん、シオン。俺ちょっとリカちゃんのことが心配になっちゃって。
はい、そんなに心配でしたらぜひ電話を。安否を確認してみてください。
ああ、そうさせてもらう。
また明日もこのくらいの時間に連絡します。それをもって私の安否確認としてください。
わかった、待ってる。じゃあな、すまん、切るぞ。
I put down the receiver without waiting for Shion to say goodbye. The danger to Shion and myself was secondary at this point. My sixth sense was blaring alarms in my head. I don't like this feeling. It's really bad. It's definitely bad.
くそ、無事でいてくれ。
Dude, if they kill off Rika, ooh.
リカちゃん。
Oh no. Alright, are we gonna get a scene transition or a day transition? Like, is he just gonna run over there right now? He probably is. I mean, he hung up the phone. I think this is a scene transition, but we'll see. No, it's not. Oh, wow. Okay. Let's go through the scrapbooks. We might just make this first episode back a relatively short one while I get back into the swing of things. We'll see. We'll see. At the very least, I'm going to need a break. I'll decide during the break if I'm going to keep recording. But let's view the tips for now. We'll just get through both of these. From the scrapbook, what was that, 8? The three families in modern times. Previously described, the three families council today as a mere shell of democracy. In reality, it is a dictatorship run by the Sonozaki family. Both the Kimiyoshi and Furude families are far from their former glory. It doesn't seem at all like that. Goodness, and it doesn't seem at all like they've maintained the ancient traditions. Oh, Kimiyoshi and Furude fell off. Only the Sonozaki family has retained their glory from the past and has inherited many colorful traditions from the age known as Onigafuji village. Even the most recent, verifiable example of Watanagashi that occurred at the end of the Meiji era seems to have been done under the orders of the Sonozaki family. Refer to the three families' genealogical tree from the late Meiji. After the start of the Meiji era, the Sonozaki family wanted to push the development of Hinamizawa village, so they took a strong role in leadership. Okay, so there's even more piling on the Sonozaki family. During the Dam Wars a few years ago, the Kimiyoshi family served as the chair of the opposition alliance, but this was a name only. In actuality, the Sonozaki family reigned as leader behind the scenes. People whisper that perhaps the Kimiyoshi family dictated acts of opposition that could be publicized, and the Sonozaki family enacted those which could not. That makes sense. Even in Hinamizawa, they whisper that the multitude of unsettling incidents reported during the dam protests, such as the kidnapping of the famous head of the Ministry of Construction's son, have been carried out by the Sonozakis. Additionally, they say that perhaps the Sonozaki family's secret maneuvering was responsible for the serial freak death incidents that have continuously occurred in recent years as well. The serial freak death incidents are without a doubt the second coming of the traditional Watanagashi. They must be enacting the Watanagashi on the day of the original Watanagashi, which has fallen to the level of an ordinary village festival, in order to remind the villagers of the holy laws of Onikafuchi Village. Something I did want to point out, by the way, when I was rewatching, this was something I noticed, and it made me wonder the significance of this. The Watanagashi was not originally a scheduled thing, right? This was like, they said the scheduling of it was erratic, right? And it makes you wonder, right? Like, I don't know, right? If the Watanagashi was like, it wasn't originally this thing that was scheduled, like, timely, every year, right? And now the killings are. I don't know, for some reason, to me, it makes it lean more into the human explanation, right? The fact that this is, like, we're not just doing random killings, right? And I understand, like, arguably, it's still just tied to the Watanagashi, right? And so it still makes sense. But, like, I think it's something to keep in mind, right, at the very least, right? Is that the Watanagashi tradition, like, it changed, right, a lot. It basically remained mostly the same in name only. And so basically just seeing them say, you know, they must be enacting the Watanagashi on the day of the original Watanagashi. The original Watanagashi happened whenever, right? It wasn't like like a timed thing, you know? It could still absolutely be, you know, I can still agree with this. They must be enacting the Watanagashi on the day of, just if you get rid of the original, on the day of the Watanagashi, you know, to remind the villagers of the laws of Onikafuchi Village. I could see that. To continue, like, fear-mongering. It's safe to assert that exploring the Sonozaki family is the fastest route for researching it today. If I can expose the contents of the Furude Shrine storehouse, I'd like to narrow my research target to the Sonozaki family next. The Sonozaki house is strictly guarded by security cameras on the premises, but thankfully, I've become acquainted with the sisters Mion, the next heir, and Shion. I want this to be a breakthrough I can connect to my next line of research. Okay, I feel like this is very likely one of Takano, Tomatake, or Oishi's scrapbook. I was very convinced in the past that it was Takano, and I still think that's likely. But, you know, it's got to be somebody who has an interest in the case, right? And is connected with both of them, and that remains true for, I think, all three of them, right? So, let's go to Their Punishment Isn't Over. Let's see what this is about.
いえいえ、気にしないでくださいよ。なぜか年計のガソリンスタンドの請求書に化けちゃうんですよ。だから遠慮しないでもう一杯飲んでいけばいいのに。
The man, red-faced, waved his hand to say that he'd had enough. He disappeared into the brilliant neon lights in front of the station.
クマちゃんも勉強しといてくださいよ。謙虚な人が結局一番長生きするんです。
さっきの話。
さて、それはわからないですけどね。真偽はともかく、そういう話がまことしやかに流れてるってことには意味があると思いますよ。
It's very true. That's how I feel about a lot of information in this game. A lot of it I'm like, well, I don't know if this is true, but it's plausible, and so we're going to start forming theories off of it, and then we'll see what works, what doesn't, if any new information contradicts what we know. Right? Just knowing things, even if they might not be true, right, is inherently valuable.
そんなのが村長を狙う動機になりうるんすかね。
クマちゃん、いつも言ってるでしょ。動機っていうのは、その本人に十分でありさえすれば足りるんです。
That is very much true.
価値観の違いをよく考えなくちゃ。あ、お母さん、もう一杯ください。
Though we've been suppressing the information, Tomatake and Takano's deaths were already known throughout Hinamizawa. All the rumors pointed to them having incurred the wrath of Yashiro-sama for setting foot in the Forbidden Temple, the storehouse for ritual implements. According to the rumors, there were two other people who went in there with them, Shion Sonozaki and Keiichi Maibara. People were whispering in the shadows that those two would be cursed by Yashiro-sama as well. Apparently, however, the responsibility didn't fall solely on the four trespassers' shoulders. Until last year, it was locked up tight, but this year, it had been changed to a simpler lock. Hadn't that been what allowed thieves to enter so easily? Those were the rumors going around.
クマちゃんは見たことありませんか。私はずいぶん前に何かのようで行った時に見たことをよく覚えてますよ。
It is like a good question. Like, why?
すみません。
Was the lock changed?
ちょっと思い出せないっす。
そりゃもうおっかないくらいに厳重に施錠してありましてね。 まるで大金庫みたいに厳重な蔵だったんですよ。
This here was a very simple and cheap padlock. Makes you wonder if there's like, if they moved stuff or something, I don't know. The lone girl protecting the shrine, Rika Furude, disliked the heavy locks and consulted with the mayor, who replaced it with a simpler padlock.
だから村長とフルでリカも同罪ってことなんですか？だとしたら村長に続いてフルでリカもまずいじゃないですか。
Stop giving us foreshadowing that she's in danger.
その可能性は大ですね。クマちゃん、ひなみ沢を巡回している覆面者に至急連絡。フルデ神社近辺に張り付かせてください。
了解っす。
Okay. Well, they're really laying it on thick that Rika might be in danger. Okay, so you guys might not ever hear this, but we're gonna just do an outro here in case I take my break and decide not to come back and record some more. Well, first of all, it's good to be back. It's been a very long time, obviously. Was worried about how it would feel to get back into the flow of things, and I was enjoying my time with the game, really. I hope you guys enjoyed the video as well, right? Like, I hope that there weren't some glaring technical issues somewhere. That would be unfortunate. That would be quite unfortunate, really. Let's talk about the episode itself, though, without talking any more about the break. We don't really need to talk more about the break, to be honest. I think at this point, the break is what it is, right? That's about how I'm looking at it. Just kind of trying to move on, you know. My bad for the break, but, you know, can't undo it now. Anyways, the episode itself. So, oof. This was a lot of build-up, and a lot of new and kind of rehashed information. So we already knew the Sonozaki family was like up to no good, most likely. But we got some more details about it. They had already like really laid it on thick that the Sonozaki family was not good, right? Oishi had already told us they were like a crime syndicate. So like we already even knew all that, right? Hearing that their father was a Yakuza, that's like the least surprising thing I've ever heard. The things that were new and were surprising were some of the things they specifically did during the dam protests, right? The way the Sonozaki family was operating in the shadows, like doing anything they could. Like, basically everything was against the law, right? Anything they could to just keep, or not to keep, just to stop that damn construction project, right? Throwing sugar cubes in gas tanks, kidnapping a child, right? Blatant threats, right? Assault, right? Like, so much, right? And there's so much, and it was all led by Mion, right? Who knew she could use her age as a weapon and just get out of jail, right? They're not going to keep a kid, right? And she knew that. It's Mion. She's crafty, right? Unfortunately, when she uses her tools for evil, I'm not shocked that things went well. That is really unfortunate. But that is, I can see it. And I mean, according to Shion, like, the family's very secretive as well. Some people know about all of this stuff. Mion is one of them, right? Mion was heavily involved. Shion claims she is not. She could be. Maybe she is. Or maybe she's lying. Maybe she's setting us up. I don't know. But it's not looking too good for Mion's past. And the question is, how does that relate to now? It doesn't feel like it bodes well, is all I know right now. It does not feel like it's going to bode well for Keiichi. On top of that, we got the absolute bombshell of Shion telling us that she told Kimiyoshi everything, and Kimiyoshi was like, "Just leave it to me. Like, I'll take care of it." And he, of course, goes missing. And then that obviously would then tie into the conversation we had with Rika earlier, where we found her by the curry garden, and we're just talking to her, and we admitted everything to her, really, right, in a lot of roundabout ways for a while. right? But eventually she basically told us the same thing. Like, don't worry so much. Just keep on going. I'll take care of it, right? And so now we're convinced she's in danger. The police kind of realized, oh, snap. It was the mayor and Rika who decided to lessen the security. Perhaps that's a reason, like the reason they went after the mayor, right? And that naturally leaves Rika as the next target. So there's two big reasons to believe Rika is the next big target. And man, I really don't want to see it. I really hope not. I like Rika a lot. She's definitely one of my favorite characters. I don't really know how exactly I would rank the characters in terms of favorites, but she's definitely up there, like really high. And so I really would hate to see that happen. And she'd be the first character who, like, from our crew, right, who died, like, right before the end of the route. Presumably. I guess maybe we could be right at the end of the route, right? But, like, if the next episode starts and she's dead, I personally don't think the route would end that very same episode, right? And so, I mean, like, that would be different than Chapter 1, right? If we had to sit there for a while with Rika dead, right, or missing, right, at the very least. It's concerning. Another thing that is concerning, by the way, and that I think we shouldn't completely just brush over, was why was Rika crying? Why was she so dirty? Right? I can't help but feel like she was somehow involved with Kimiyoshi, and not in a good way. Not in a good way. I don't know. My first guess in the moment was like, what if she buried him? Right? Like, I don't know if there's any reason to, like, actually suspect that, but, like, I don't know. The fact that someone went missing, she was crying, right? I mean, like, she could easily just be crying because it's someone she knows, right? But the dirt, the grass in her hair, I don't know. It gives me bad vibes. So I'm worried about, like, is Rika just, like, this innocent person who is potentially about to be a victim, or is she just actually involved, right? I don't know. I guess that's basically all I have to say about the chapter in terms of the summary. Great chapter. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to more. I'm not going to try to make any promises about when the next video will be. Hopefully it won't be too long. Hopefully it won't be 2 more years. But we'll see. Whenever that video does come out, though, I hope to see you guys there. That'll be all for me. Peace.